everybody. I am your host, Michelle Lawrence, and you are watching season 2 of Black Tea. This is our interview series, of course, all about Black women in advertising, and it's presented by Muse by Clio. Today, I am so excited to be here with Whitney Cusack. Hey, Whitney.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, glad to have you. Please do tell the people what you do and where you're based.
So I'm head of production at Miniac, and I live in Chicago, so I work remotely.
Nice. Yeah, remote is the way of life for us right now. Have you been in Chicago for a while? Is it your hometown or is it kind of a new adventure?
It's a new adventure, actually. I'm from New Jersey originally, and I was working in Manhattan for all of my career. And once the pandemic hit, I took it as an opportunity to run. So I've been out here for a little over a year, and I really love it.
All right. It's interesting. I feel like I did a weird thing where I went to New York during the pandemic when everybody else left. But it seems like there's still plenty of people here. So
for sure. Yeah. There was a minute where I feel like it took a dip and it was a ghost town, and then yeah.
All right. I mean, Chi-Town is mad cool though. It's definitely been a vibe, especially for the culture. So hopefully you're enjoying it out there.
Yeah, I really, really like it a lot.
Nice. So how did you find your way into advertising?
By accident, honestly.
I've heard that a lot, actually. We find it by accident a lot.
For real. So initially I thought I was going to be on film sets all my life. I found production very early. You know, I was fortunate enough to figure out what I wanted to do early on. And I had done set design for a feature, but I was like, oh, I need money. I need health insurance. I got to pay these student loans. So a friend of mine was working in HR at an ad agency, and she told me they were looking for an admin. So I took that, and the whole time I was looking for any other job because I'm like, this is boring. This is terrible. I don't want to do this. And then realized that there was this production side of advertising. And of course, I had watched commercials all my life, but I never thought that I could possibly make them. So it was a really cool. It wasn't an easy transition, of course, but it was. I transitioned over to the headquarters in Manhattan and became associate producer and started running new business for all of the agencies. So that was how I found it.
That's amazing. And what was the proximity to like you being in school and you finding advertising? Was there like many, many years in between? Was it like not soon after or not long after?
It was a while actually, because I started my undergrad at Temple University. Shout out to Philly. And then
I'm from Philly. I love it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. So I started my undergrad there and then had to stop because money was very low and all of that stuff. So I went back to Jersey, worked for several years, and then continued my undergrad. Then that's when I did the film stuff, and then transitioned into agency life. So it was a pretty big gap in between. Yeah.
I asked that because advertising was my second career as well, and it hits different when you come in as a full-grown adult, I'll say, because it can be very youthful as an industry, a little Peter Pan-esque sometimes. So when you come in and you're grown, it's like, okay, cool, you guys. I mean, I remember being an intern alongside folks who were like fresh out of undergrad, and I had already been like a teacher for a few years, and and then in grad school, and so I was like, just a little more seasoned than the others.
Yeah. Like life had hit you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had made some choices already, you know what I mean? And so it was interesting to come into advertising that way, but also similarly, I thought I was going to do project management, like when I was originally looking at advertising, and then I found out that there's this whole other creative side to it, and I was already a creative person. I was teaching art, you know what I mean? I was like, this is my language. How come I didn't know about this whole career path that I could have had?
So which says a lot about the access we have to it as well,
It does, but I'm glad that we're able to have conversations like this and show people like us, but 10, 15 years ago, hey, this is an option for you. You know what I mean? Hopefully people will start to find this before they do a whole ass other career that they maybe didn't even want to do.
Seriously, or waste money on a degree that you're never going to use, like, yeah, whole thing.
That part.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of which, you are a big believer in representation on set. I would love to hear about a time that you really felt that make a difference in your work.
I would say, luckily for me, I found my film family very early. I was reading scripts. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I was reading scripts for a company as just a random summer internship that I had found.
Mhm.
And I was in an office, and a woman walked past and came back, and she said, "My friend is shooting a movie starting tomorrow. Are you interested?" So I said, "Of course." So I ran up, and this was in Tribeca. So I ran up Greenwich to the film office, which I realized later was the Tribeca film office, met these two women who were like in a frenzy trying to get everything together for the shoot the next day. I quit that script reading job, showed up to set as a PA. And for the most part, none of the people behind the scenes at the time looked like me. But I didn't feel that. So I think I was very spoiled in that, where I found these people that I still work with and talk to this day. I've worked with them on so many movie sets and things, where they valued my opinion very early on. You know, Matthew Bonifacio, Juliana Bonifacio have been amazing, director and producer. And once I told him what I wanted to do, he was like, "Okay, well, what's your opinion on this? What are your thoughts here?" So it was really great. So the culture shock hit when I got to advertising. And that was like, "Oh, sit down for a second," you know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I got my start there, to realize that I had a voice, like you said, figuring out who you are as an adult, and then transitioned, because I was able to kind of assert myself differently.
Wow. Okay. And so now that you're in the advertising space, and head of production, are you finding that, are you seeing any progress in that area on the diversity front on set, since your time started in advertising?
Yes, but it's one of the things that we can't let up on. We can't let up on the gas. I think that people are more aware of it, especially, sadly, after the events of 2022. People were like, "Oh, this is a thing," where we knew it always was. Um, and you'll find folks that are just like, "We need to hit this percentage," because they know it's needed. Or you'll get a great creative director who's like, "I want somebody to tell this story who knows this story." But for the most part, I'm making sure, no matter what, that if we're representing one nationality or race on set, we need to balance it out here. Or if a DP is this, then a photographer needs to be that. So it's definitely, it's been naturally a part of what I do, no matter what. I'm in lighting, audio, everything. You know, I'm making sure that the producers I supervise are doing that as well. Not just calling on their friends from up the block or somebody they used on 5 shoots. It's like, no, who else do we have? Because there's other people that are available that are just as brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. And it also just depends on the stories you're telling, right? Like you want to have representation from the communities that you're attempting to represent and speak to.
Yeah, for
Work.
sure.
So that makes sense. Well, that's great. It sounds like you're having an impact, and that's really all we can do. Do you have any advice for Black women out there that may feel burdened, limited, boxed in maybe by just the fragility of other non-diverse surroundings at work, being kind of the only one or one of the few, and having that experience? What would you say to people that are kind of living through that?
Oh, find a prayer partner. For sure. I think having a support system outside of work helps. So whether it's somebody in your industry or not, that is the number one thing. Like, I have people, whether it's my mother or a friend or whoever, that I can call on and say, "Hey, I have this meeting, I'm dealing with this thing. Please help me through it, talk me through it, talk me off the ledge." And then what I've learned is that you're there for a reason, whether they hired you because they needed to fill a quota or not, you are there now. So prove yourself, show up as your authentic self too, because that's where they'll realize the value of somebody like you being in the room. There's no point in muting yourself, because if you're going to be disrespected, if you're silent, you might as well speak up and, go out with your fist up. I think that we have so much value, and it's ridiculous the years some of us spend because we are told that we're not worth anything, that our voice doesn't matter, that our opinion is bogus. It makes me sad to know how much time I wasted when I should have been speaking up more, for sure. Show up as your authentic self and somebody will listen. I think a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome, no matter who we are. I feel like everybody shows up in a room insecure. You'd be surprised at the people who are running companies that don't know what the heck they're doing, but they figure out how to fake it. So if you got to fake the funk until you feel it in your heart, do that. Some people use that insecurity as a weapon against us because they recognize the excellence, they recognize the magic, which I've seen a lot as well. I'm sure you have. So it's just knowing who you are, showing up, and it's tough. It's really hard. There's days when I'm like, all right, I give up. I thought I was going to leave this industry last year, honestly. So yeah, find that support system and make your voice known, because it's important.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's so powerful. And I think it's also just worth clarifying too, in case anyone's watching this episode that maybe is not a Black woman, that when we say that people are telling us that our opinions are bogus, or that we don't have, the right tone, or that we, people aren't necessarily saying these words. I mean, sometimes they are, but it also comes in the form of kind of being looked at like, okay, yeah. And what do you think, Brian? You know what I mean? So it's just like, or Brian says what I just said, and suddenly it makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's subtle kind of ways that this happens, and it's not always from a vindictive place, but it definitely has a negative impact, you know what I mean, on us. And so it's taxing, those things kind of chip away. And I really love that advice of finding people outside of that workspace to restore and remind you who you are.
Yeah.
Remind you that you have that voice, and your voice is valid, your experiences are valid, and that your experience is valid, and that you have something to bring to the table. I think that is something that's so huge, and so important for every woman to feel. Outside of people as a support system, are there any like hobbies or activities that you like to get into outside of work that help to like restore your energy, restore your creativity, build you back up to go back into the machine?
Yeah, for real. I think for sure, like during football season, which we're sitting in right now as we record this, I love football, and it is a stress reliever. I'll just turn it on and hear the sounds, and that helps tremendously, because it helps to get out some of that aggression, for sure. Boxing, I used to do that quite a bit when I was in New York. I do have a heavy back here. I got to get back into using it. Writing, always. Is
that like a punching bag? What is that?
Yeah. So basically like a freestanding punching bag. Yeah. Oh, nice. And I have gloves and the whole thing. So it's, that is very therapeutic. Writing, which it depends on my stress level, how much writing I do, which I know the stress would decrease if I did more writing. So I got to be better at balancing that out too, because that creativity needs to flow. And I got a bike this past spring, so that's been really great, to just kind of feel that breeze and enjoy the sun and not think, and kind of go back to being childlike has been really helpful.
Oh, wow. Oh, you meant like, so I am so pandemic minded that like when you said a bike.
Oh, no, a bicycle. I got a bicycle.
House, sedentary, like Peloton, you had like a real world bike, like it moves, like down the block. Can't imagine.
Yeah. which I
Wow.
hadn't had. I mean, gosh, since I was a kid, I don't think I've ridden a bike. So I was like, can I do this still? But it's so freeing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really, really good. Yeah.
I love how you have two hobbies that are like, you know, introspective and freeing, like the bike and the writing. And then you have these two hobbies that are like, I need to punch something or watch somebody else crunch somebody. Like, let's get some impact going here.
Yeah, it's necessary.
It's all about the balance, you know, it's all about that balance.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta ask, since you're from Jersey, who is that football team for you? Do you have a team that you root for?
So I'm an Eagles fan, honestly.
Right,
I
that's
am
correct.
because
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted
And
to
I realized that early
go your
on,
way.
like,
You know what I mean with
and
Jersey?
I'm like, I don't want to disappoint you. Yeah, I got Eagles mugs. I got the whole, yeah, definitely an Eagles girl for sure. That has not left.
After my own heart. I love it. Amazing. Okay, so just one last question for you then. I like to ask people if there are any Black owned or even just Black AF products or books or movies that you're loving right now that you would want to put on.
So definitely this art on my wall, a lot of it is from Black artists. This is a Chuck Styles piece, Lauryn Hill. Anything Issa Rae creates, anything Ava's doing, Mara, I'm stalking. All Mara Bakil, all of those amazing individuals. Elaine Walteroth, I follow her religiously on Insta because she's freaking amazing and very inspirational. People like Yvonne Orji. So for sure. And then music wise, I have this classics playlist. It's like over 3 hours of just like old school hip hop. So
Nice.
I'm very routine in that if I'm getting in the car for the most part, that's what I'm listening to.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love it. Wait, what's on the boxing soundtrack?
Ooh, that's like DMX, you know, yeah, like I'm just,
Yeah.
whatever is loud and has a lot of bass. Onyx is on there.
I love that. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I want to get some boxing under my skin as well. It seems like it'd be a nice kind of stress reliever out there.
Oh, for sure.
Amazing. Well, I am so glad I got the chance to meet you, Whitney. Your story is amazing. Your impact is really being felt in this industry, and you just have a presence. You know, maybe it's the boxing, I don't know, but you're glowing and you feel effervescent to hear you speak. And I'm so glad that people are going to get to know you through this episode. So thank you so much for coming on.
Wow, thank you for having me. This was amazing. Thank you for those words.
Of course. And everybody out there, thank you so much for watching this episode of Black Tea. Please do check out all of the other episodes of musedbycleo.com/Black Tea. You can see all of season 1, all of season 2 there. And then also please make sure to follow us on Instagram at Sip Black Tea so that you can know when the next episodes are coming up and keep up with how all of these amazing women are doing. And that's what I got. I will see y'all next time. Bye. Hey.